Howdy. It seems it is time to talk about sulfur, weather, and the dragon. I took that cloud picture some time ago, and I think, or at least in my opinion, it is very neat. It looks very interesting. Yeah. Some might claim if you suffer from pareidolia, you might see a dragon. Yeah. You don't need to suffer from pareidolia in order to see a dragon here. You just probably need some information in order to understand what a dragon is in the first place, in order to recognize a dragon. But that's a theme for another video. And in a way, there might be a dragon on the way to the Americas at this moment. And there has been a little talk in some comments some time ago about the role of sulfur in our atmosphere. Because I have been noticing something, yeah, it's been a while ago when I noticed that, and now, due to the things that are happening, I somehow feel I just have to tell this to someone, because it might have a big impact. So now let's go over to Windy and have a look at, this is the first example. I just want to show you something. This is satellite from 12 hours in Europe. And I want you to approximately try to remember where we have the thunderstorms. There's an area. Yeah, it's moving. That's why I draw it like a little bit more. And up here. So here we have an area of thunderstorms, and here. Okay? Approximately. We cannot zoom out more further, but you can see the regions. Approximately Central Europe, southern of Sweden, and eastern of Finland. Okay. Now, we go over to SO2. I accidentally clicked on something. Maybe that's thunderstorms. Anyway, now we have SO2. Sulfur. We are looking at approximately the same regions where we have the thunderstorms. So this is in a way the summer version of the influence of the sulfur in our atmosphere, because if it would be winter, sulfur creates or makes it possible for really cold air to form on the surface. Very often I've noticed there has been sulfur in the air when it got really cold. It's not always the same, but sulfur has also an influence into that, about temperature. When we go back to the satellite pictures, you will notice these are the same areas where we just watch the sulfur in the atmosphere, where you have these thunderstorms. Okay, there are two areas where we have thunderstorms and sulfur. So the possibility for this being a coincidence just got quite big, or a big amount smaller, because we have two areas at the same time which are doing the same thing. They have both thunderstorms and both sulfur. Okay? In my Finnish copper playlist, there are a bunch of videos, one of which is called the sulfur effect on ripple formation and penetration. In this video I talk about welding, oscillatory Maragoni flow, a fundamental study by conduction mode laser spot welding. You might ask, how is this related to weather? Let me show you. So in that paper, you find these pictures. This one is taken from above, obviously, and this is from the side, the one below. So here on the left side, there is low sulfur content. On the right side, we have more sulfur content. And as you see, it penetrates much deeper into the material. In other words, as everybody knows, sulfur is the element of spirit. It's the thing that connects things. Sulfur is an amino acid, which is the thing in order to create life. Without the sulfur, there wouldn't be any life. Without life, there wouldn't be any kind of what we perceive as consciousness. So without the consciousness, there wouldn't be any God or religion or whatsoever things. So sulfur is life, the spirit, and it connects things on many, many different levels. And obviously, because it connects things in whatever way it does it, I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure out, but I'm not the first one to try it. So, sulfur does this in an electric arc welding process. There is, how to say, more going on just by adding a little bit more sulfur. More material is melting and stuff are changing and even out, and like somehow, you know, if you compare the left and the right pictures, there is obviously a big difference. So if they are arc welding, they are talking about plasma. Yeah, clouds are plasma. It's the same thing. So if we put more sulfur into the atmosphere, it will do stuff, because clouds are the plasma, so it will conduct more. There can be more. Somehow it seems to be that the energy flow is easier if there's more sulfur, and it might be also that it in a way amplifies itself through to the more amount of sulfur content. So now back to windy. Two areas with more or less heavy thunderstorms. I think this one here in Central Europe was quite heavy. But anyway, and we have the sulfur. And we had some time ago, we had this very strange hurricane Beryl, which just popped out of nowhere, right at the southern Atlantic magnetic anomaly border edge. So, let me show you something which was the reason why I made this video, because I think it is important, at least that someone knows, in order to think about it, make up your own minds. Because I haven't heard anyone talking about this basically ever, so yeah, someone has to. These are the sulfur clouds that are related to the thunderstorms, okay? This is a very large sulfur cloud that is coming from Etna, maybe also Stromboli, Italy, and it goes towards America, central, northern, probably not so much into the southern hemisphere, but that's possible also. Anyway, Beryl started somewhere here, and it intensified very quickly. If this plume would be sand from the Sahara, there wouldn't form probably any hurricanes because of the sand. Maybe there is also sand. Let's have a look at that. Do we have sand? Do we have particles somewhere here? I'm talking about we could just CO2, dust, mass, maybe here we get, yeah, there's also some sand, not too much, but there's a lot of sulfur, which is probably the thing, something to look out for, because if sulfur is related to heavy thunderstorm activity in Europe, it might be the same thing also in America. So now let's see if how this is moving. That's a prediction from any like these kind of meteorological offices. And here it seems to be connected already to the Southern Atlantic magnetic anomaly. For whatever reason. And this is going towards the Americas, and if this is spreading all over the Atlantic Ocean, there is a huge potential for very much energy being stored within the clouds, because there is a lot of sulfur. Okay? In other words, this could mean very bad weather for many people in not too far future, just because of the sulfur. Then if we take the sulfur content of this cloud and take it like for the sun, we have a CME eruption coming from the sun. Yeah, this time there wasn't much sulfur, so it won't do much. And there is another one coming, and now we have a lot of sulfur. The impacts will be much more strong than anyone anticipated, because they just watch at the density or the speed or polarity, but not at the actual content of the CME. So I think it's very important to know, or it would be very important to know, in order to predict any space weather, the sulfur content of the CMEs, or probably the solar wind, because I don't think we have always the exact same amount of material coming towards Earth. No, I think it's fluctuating quite much. Also, the sulfur content fluctuates quite much. And if you go back, and if you go to read the welding paper about the sulfur, you probably figure out that how important the sulfur content is. Whatever plasmas we are talking about, is it cold or hot plasma? Our clouds are usually cold plasma because, yeah, they are water or ice. But the sun's plasma is rather hot. But there are plasmas after all, and sulfur does probably approximately the same thing. Is it hot or cold plasma? Because it's the element of spirit and fire. Anyway, now I made a video after a long time, and they are still predicting that there is more SO2 coming in more than a week from Etna, which I always find interesting, because we are some days ahead of time, but they're still predicting volcanic eruptions, or whatever that means. Yes, so there would be a bunch of other things to talk about, but yeah. Thank you for those who were listening, and yeah, try to remember, or no, remember to feed the right wolves. It's probably sometimes the most difficult thing to do. And be the change you want to see. Yeah. That's sometimes even more hard to do. But thank you. Maybe some bad weather coming to America, maybe not. Hopefully I'm wrong. We will see. Thank you.